HO Talk Show. I am HO Talk Show. It's Sir Charles.
Max.
And we are here back like we never left, Miss Max. And we are joined by some special guests right about now who are associated with PHAR. And folks in our listening area, listen to the show, know about PHAR here in Seville. And these are the Friends of PHAR. And so, ladies, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, indeed. It's glad you can make it. So when we most recently had some of the board members and representatives on from PHAR, they were talking about a lot of the development that happens in Charlottesville. And the fact that a lot of times the residents aren't consulted, or sometimes it impedes upon their neighborhoods. And then there's council meetings and all that kind of things too, where voices can be heard. In the center of it all, which is where it sounds like Friends of PHAR come into play, is that it seems to be a divide and maybe miscommunication between the university, what the university needs, right, and what it wants, versus those needs and wants of the community. So when Wendy reached out and was like, we have some UVA students that are part of this group called Friends of PHAR, right, who support our work and the initiatives of representation for the residents, right, and like their needs, as the university grows, and the fact of the matter is maybe do what they feel is best for their students, while PHAR does what's best for its constituents, right? So we are joined by Abba, Rachel, Anna, and Ellie, right? And they comprise Friends of PHAR. So Friends of PHAR, who wants to give us sort of the breakdown, like how that came to be?
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and to the listeners, hey, how y'all doing? So Friends of PHAR originated as a student group focused on research. Joy Johnson, whom people are very well aware of, she reached out.
You never forget Miss Joy.
No, you don't. She reached out to David Emmons, who's a professor at UVA, asking him if there was any way to do research on some funds that were being misappropriated in city council. And so David got together a group of students. We presented these misappropriation of fundings to city council. And from there, we've kind of been working under the guidance of PHAR, doing a lot of research for them, doing a lot of advocacy. And currently, recently in its current iteration, we've transitioned into being more of a student group that focuses right now on the LV collective development, because it also affects us as students as well. And so we started from a really small research group to now we're like a pretty substantial group of students that do a lot of organizing under the guidance of PHAR. So.
Awesome. So, and is this something that you guys created, or is this?
No. Okay. We all joined at different times of the project, but it started out like with 4 students, as David and 4 students around 2021, 22, and then Friends of PHAR just recently became an organization, or a CIO at UVA in like about a semester ago in May, actually. So we're pretty fresh, pretty new. We're still trying to figure things out, but we went from 4 students to a pretty big student coalition.
Oh, nice. And I have to wonder, is there like, what's the vibe? Like, what's the environment on grounds, like when it comes to this group? Do you receive any backlash, or folks even saying like, why would y'all be like involved with that community group? You're supposed to represent the university, not anybody else. Like, is it that kind of atmosphere at all? Or like, sort of, what's the pros and cons of of sort of being activists, right, and being outspoken, like when it comes to social issues such as this?
To answer that, hi guys, I'm Rachel, by the way. I would begin by saying, at least in our background, a lot of us have been mentees of David Edmonds, who's kind of the professor that spearheaded this group. And our group of students is very much someone who has been taught of all the displacement and destruction that the university has caused on the local Charlottesville community. So we come from a specific niche of the Charlottesville, of the UVA population, which I think is aware of and cares about our impact on the local Charlottesville community. And then, honestly, I would say we haven't faced a ton of negative backlash within the university student body. It's just been more of people who are unaware, like totally ignorant. They don't know the history of destruction and raising of local Black and brown communities in Charlottesville, and we're out there trying to teach them about this history, tell them about our work. And then people who are also like, I didn't even know there was a proposal for more luxury student housing on West Main Street. And we're out here trying to be like, hey, this is happening. We're trying to work with Charlottesville's Public Housing Association of Residents. And I think there have been people that are skeptical, that are like, I think there's a demand for more like student housing, like in some capacity. So people are skeptical of where we're coming at because they see that there is a demand, but others can chime in. But I don't think we've experienced any like negative backlash on the activism organizing side of it.
So as students, and maybe Anna, you can answer this question. Being students, like what have you all seen is sort of a happy medium, right? A good balance, because if there's more students coming, you need housing for the students. Residents are saying it's driving the cost of living up, it's taken away from from potential affordable housing for us. Have you all found a happy median that you're asking for through this work that you're doing? Like, how are you balancing, right? The representation of being a student, but also caring about the community that your university is in.
So it's actually funny. I'm an urban planning student.
Look at that.
So that's kind of how I got roped in, because they were like, we have maps that we need somebody to look at, and the person who did that before isn't here anymore. So you need to come help us. And Alma had been asking me for like months now. So then I was like, all right, I'll join. And that was my second year. So 2023. And since then I've kind of been here. But I think to answer the question, it's more so what are we looking at housing to do and serve? And who are we looking for it to serve? Because I think the issue with the housing that is being built now is an issue not only for Charlottesville residents, but it's also an issue for students. There isn't affordable housing in general. So that means there's no affordable housing for students, and there's no affordable housing for people who live here full time. So I think that's kind of where the breakdown occurs, is they're like, I guess some people can try and pitch it as like, we need to serve students first, and then once we get that out of the way, then we can do the resident housing. But it's like, no, in order for us to solve everybody's housing problems, there needs to be affordable housing, which primarily will help, like, first and foremost, will help Charlottesville residents, but it will help everybody overall if there's more affordable housing available. And I think that there's larger issues within Virginia's development code as a state that trickles down into local governments that prevent there from being housing accessibility. And there's really like old rules and codes that need to be looked at and changed. And it takes somebody who has the time and is kind of forced to look at it from people's, not disagreement, but more so like raising an issue. So once they hear that there's an issue, it's like, okay, let's actually focus in on this. But until somebody says it, so there's something wrong, and like really pushes for it, as we've been trying to do, there's not really much change, because it requires work. It requires a lot of extra work. And so that's kind of what we're here now. It's like, hey, if there's some research that needs to be done to look into this, if we need proof that there are a large number of people that disagree with it, like that's what we're here to like bridge that gap and meet that need. So
I'm curious about what your push looks like. What has your research shown thus far? And then I'm assuming you're meeting with maybe the school UVA's president and other lead people to talk about what you can do, what UVA can do on its end to help mitigate the housing issue between both students and the community that it's located within.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Ellie. I think it's hard, too, because especially with the LV Collective, it is marketed as student housing, but it doesn't have a direct affiliation with UVA. So we've been showing up at city council meetings and really trying to get the word out. And we have had some good progress with that. We've been in communication with some local leaders, and we've been talking with them about the survey that we did throughout the university and kind of just explaining how no one wants this. No UVA students want this. No members of the West Haven and 10th and Page community want this.
They don't want it because of the implication it has on the community, or they don't want it or because they don't want that particular housing project where it's going to be?
Yeah, kind of both of that.
Okay.
They would like something that they don't want it to be a wall for them. It serves as like a literal and metaphorical wall that blocks them from being engaged in their community that they were in here first. So
we are joined by Friends of PHAR, the Public Housing Association of Residents, and there are 4 UVA students: Abba, Rachel, Anna, and Ellie. And appreciate y'all coming in, and appreciate y'all the representation that you all are giving. So I'm also curious about so if I understand correctly, so like none of you all are from Charlottesville, right? Originally,
No.
So when you go to the meetings, the PHAR meetings, and you meet residents and stuff, what seems to be their expectations, right? Because I'm sure they can see you all as like, oh, you're probably doing it for credits, right? Like you'll be gone and you'll be gone in 4 or less years, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I got to imagine, even if they don't say it, somebody's thinking things like that. So what do you understand sort of those expectations and sort of what Max was saying too, like that representation to the UVA community, like, and do you think that you've delivered on those initiatives?
That's a great question. I think our approach as a group is to listen first. It's about consistently showing up, and as people who are not from Charlottesville, it's not our place to say what to do. We've been taught a lot, and we really emphasize this in the work that we do, that we're here as representatives and we will listen first before we do. So the expectations that we have from community members kind of aren't really explicitly stated, unless it's Joy who's like, all right, well, can you think of researching this, or can we look and attack from this angle? We're strategizing with Joy Johnson, Latricia Giles, Wendy, all of them. So I think that's kind of where the expectations are explicitly set. But when we go to community meetings and we show up to council meetings as well, first and foremost, what we're doing is we're sitting and we're listening, because we don't have the knowledge. We don't know everything. And I think throughout that consistency, which is kind of where our strong suit comes in. We're not students who are doing this for credit. We're not doing this for show. We wholeheartedly believe that our time here at the university is not limited beyond the 4 years that we're here, and that as kind of citizens of the world and citizens and good neighbors, we strive to be that by showing up consistently. So we've built relationships that way with community members, and then really trying to do our best to make forward on the expectations that are set out by like Joy and Wendy and Latricia. So we don't do anything unless they tell us to. We don't go unless the green light turns on, So that's kind of how we do.
No, that's
I'll
awesome.
chime in too and say that as an approach to my career, it's more so like we come in as experts in our field, knowing how to do something, but the community that you're serving knows the what. Like they know what they need, and we know kind of how to achieve that end. And so with things like a survey or things like maps or going to meet with different members of city council, we may have the words and the voice and the position that the community doesn't have. So it's like, how do we use that during our time here to best serve the needs of people who have been underserved? And I think one thing that we talked about, we were at a meeting with the board and they were still kind of skeptical of our involvement, as they should be. Like there's a lot of students who just do things for the community service hours or the credit on a for schoolwork or to have something on their resume. But I was sitting there and I was like, listen, like I come from New York, so I know what it's like to have people who come in and who are only there temporarily, who take from a community and then they leave. And so for me, I was like, I understand that while we're here, we take so much from y'all. And this is our opportunity to be able to give back at least something. You know what I mean? And whatever we can do to have that at least something there, that's what we're going to do while we're here.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's beautifully said. Yeah. So, if there's a student listening that's inspired and wants to join, or the public that's listening and maybe wants to be supportive and want to know, like, hey, when's the next meeting that I should attend, or like when's the next vote that I should lend my voice to? What's upcoming on you guys' agenda?
I can answer that. I'd say one, follow our Instagram at Friends of PHAR, PHAR.
Okay.
And there you can like see updates on what we're working on. Also, we're always looking for input and like community feedback on our Instagram and how we're running our own things. So feel free to chime in there. And then we have our meetings usually every Friday at 11 a.m. in New Cabell 64. So.
Awesome.
And money.
We need that.
So that's a good point though. So what's the structure? Because I know most, is this considered a student group, or is it just a FAR? Okay, so student group. So what channel does this go through? Because there are like student groups they have to get approved and things, right? And
we
like, so who do you report to in regards to that?
Right. So we're a contracted individual organization. Is that what it's called? Okay, yeah. And we have to apply. We had to apply, and so we just got status this past May to be an official like UVA student group.
Okay. Congrats.
But we have to apply for different grants and like SAF funding and stuff like that. So it's a lot of hunting and searching for getting those monetary opportunities.
And I'll chime in and say we do report to FAR. Like our constitution is fully we are under their guidance, but being a like CIO of the university means you get money from them. So we can apply to different grants to like put on our events or put on things that like provide food and childcare for whatever meetings we're having with the community.
So we kind of had to have a constitution per university guidelines, so that like at least they don't think we're doing something funny.
Right. Makes sense. Thank you all. Last word.
Well, I just want to thank you, ladies, for what you do. It's good work, and I'm sure that all of our residents in public housing, I guess low-income housing, can appreciate your efforts. Thank you, and so there'll be a new cohort next year. You ladies are all leaving us, right?
Pass the torch.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, have to help with some of those grant applications. Keep them in town.
But I say that to say that we hope to stay in touch. We hope to stay tapped in with the type of work that you're doing and the progress that you're making.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.